We start this hour in North Korea. State-run media are playing up a meeting between leader Kim Jong-un and China's president. A report says Xi Jinping is backing Kim when it comes to denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. The reports come as Kim enters his second day in China. It's the leader's third visit in recent months and comes just 1 week after his historic summit with US President Donald Trump. The ruling party's newspaper says Xi offered his support to Kim's stance on denuclearization, saying that China would continue to play a constructive role. Chinese state media have also reported on Kim's visit, noting that the North Korean leader wants a phased approach when it comes to denuclearization. They add that Xi told Kim he was happy to see the positive outcomes of his meeting with Trump and the important consensus reached on denuclearization. The exact substance of that consensus remains unclear. Washington and Pyongyang agreed to work toward the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula last week, but the agreement was short on details. It did not spell out verification methods or a timeline. The North has been calling for a phased approach, with rewards such as sanctions relief following each step. But the US has said sanctions will stay in place until the North takes concrete action toward denuclearization. Kim and Xi appear to be focused on last week's summit in Singapore. While much of the fanfare from the Singapore summit has died down, Kim's work is not done. Briefing China on the meeting is a crucial step he can't overlook. Our anchor Aiko Dorden spoke earlier with China correspondent Momo Ono, who's in Beijing, and asked her what Kim is looking to achieve.
Kim promised to stay in close contact with the Chinese president after their first meeting in March, and he traveled to his summit with the US president in Singapore in a plane loaned from China. Kim likely felt obliged to personally fill Xi Jinping in on the summit's outcomes. As the US and North Korea move into more in-depth negotiations on the denuclearization, Kim could be trying to gain an upper hand by showing he has a key ally in China. Another important issue here, economic sanctions against the North. We already know that the US says sanctions should not be lifted until Pyongyang demonstrates concrete steps on denuclearization. But the North wants relief. China has indicated it's open to that idea under certain conditions. Kim brought Park Pong-ju on this trip. He is in charge of the North's economic policies. So perhaps this is a sign that both sides are looking for ways to get economic aid to Pyongyang in a way that will not violate existing sanctions.
Momo, that could explain some of the things the North wants from China. But what about Beijing? What is it they're hoping to gain out of this meeting?
There are growing divisions between the US and China on a number of issues, including trade, Taiwan, and the South China Sea. Beijing sees Pyongyang as a potential bargaining chip with Washington. So China is likely trying to play up its influence over Pyongyang. China supports direct dialogue between the US and North Korea. It wants the countries to get closer, but not too close. For China, North Korea is a buffer against the US and its ally, South Korea. After the Singapore summit, Trump said he gave Kim his phone number so that they could speak directly. This likely made Beijing jittery. So this meeting could serve as a reminder that China is the North's key ally and that it should be involved in any ongoing efforts toward peace and denuclearization on the Korean Peninsula.